So this is the lens which is used to scan the building. In the middle portion, you can see a lens. Actually, this portion will transmit the laser beam, and it will receive the reflected laser beam from the object, and it will record that point in a inside this system, inside a memory card. A memory card will be inserted in this equipment, and this memory card will store the data. And this data can be, we can process this data, and we can club the individual 360-degree images to make the entire 3D model of the facility. So that's the basic working of this equipment. So mainly we are using this to scan the existing buildings, like heritage. You can scan the heritage buildings like temples and old palace. So these things you can scan, and that's the first use. And in archaeology also we are using this scanner for scanning the remainings of the bones and archaeological sites and the buildings. So for all those for recording the 3D data of this elements, we are using this equipment. That's the first use. Second one, we are using this for scanning the building for suppose if you want to reconstruct a building, or if you want to modify a building. In that case, you can record the existing building by using this method. And the third use is you can compare the data. That means, first of all, you will imagine that you already modeled a 3D building by using the design data, and you already produced the shop drawing. So in that case, in the site, they will use the shop drawings to make the building, or to install the services. So after the installation, you have to check it. You should know whether they installed it as per the model or not, or as per the drawing or not. In that case, you can scan this completed building, and you can compare the scan data with the existing as-built model or existing 3D model. In that case, when you compare this, you can see the difference. And if there are some differences, you can change those elements to the exact location. Suppose, take an example of a wall. So in your model, a wall will be in a particular location, and the scan data, it is uh, deviated from the location, and maybe a 10 centimeter or 20 centimeter difference is there. Just imagine. In that case, you can move the wall in the model to the exact location by using this scan data. So by using this scan data, you can update your model, and you can make a as-built model. So that's also another use of this scanning equipment. So these are the three uses of this point cloud scanning or point cloud data. And fourth use is we can use it for roads, bridges, and infrastructure projects. So in infrastructure projects also we can use this equipment for scanning. So these are the general uses of this equipment. And in some companies, they are using this to scan the deserts, forests, for using in the films. Like when they produce the VFX graphics for a particular film, they can use the data from this equipment. So that is also an application of this. And apart from these applications, there is one more important application, that is for uh, crime investigation. Mainly, it is using for accident investigation. So sometimes, if an accident is happening in some location, simply you can scan the entire vehicle and the place where the accident occurred, and you can produce this data for the court. Like for trial purpose, you can use this data, and for measuring the damage caused by this accident for a vehicle can also be calculated by using this data. So that is also an important application of this point cloud data. So all of your construction industry professionals, so when you get into an industry, get into this construction industry, and when you apply for a particular job where they are using this point cloud, mainly they are using it for scanning the building. So we are going to discuss that part. So technically, we are taking two data from this equipment. One is a 360-degree image, and second one is 360-degree point cloud data. So I'll show the point cloud data first. So I'm opening a software called Recap. Actually, Recap Pro is the main software which we are using for clubbing the data. Clubbing the data means by using this equipment, you can take multiple pictures from multiple locations of a building. And if you want to make an entire complete 3D model of the building, then you have to club this data. So the clubbing of this data is called registration. And this registration process is done by this Recap software. So in this Recap software, you can see a point cloud data. So this is the point cloud data which is scanned by this equipment. When you zoom into this data, you can see a group of points or multiple points. And when you zoom out, you can see that the multiple points are clubbed together to make a 3D object. So when you zoom in, you can see the individual points. When you zoom out, you can see the entire building. So that is the first data. Second data is the image. So if you want to see the image, you can click on this sphere. This sphere indicates the location. So when I'm clicking in the sphere, the 360-degree image will be loaded. So this is the 360-degree image in this particular location. So in this image also, you can see the elements which is inside that facility. Okay. Now, here you can see the another scan location that is indicated by a sphere. So you can review this. Hello, do you have any doubt?
Yeah, actually, when we go to Google Earth, so is that the same that blue bubble is coming out? That is the same that developed from
No.
this?
Google Earth data is different.
Okay, no, Google, not Google app, Google Earth. I am talking about.
I'm talking about Google Earth itself. It is not the scan data. Google Earth
Okay.
is made by multiple actually that data is made by clubbing multiple images, and they are also using, I think, photogrammetry, and that method is entirely different.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and for this equipment, there is some range limitation. Like you cannot take images of far distance objects. You can take the images of only within 70-meter range or 35-meter range. And the model name itself shows the range of this equipments. Actually, here I am taking Faro as an example. So if you take Faro S70, that means 70-meter is the maximum range of this rays, this laser rays. Only if your object is within 70-meter, then you will get a image. But there also we have to face some limitations. If the range is like, if the object is inside 20-meter or 35-meter, it will be clear. The image will be clear and accurate. But if it is after 20 meters, like within 20 and 70, the accuracy will be less, and the image will be blurred. You will not get a clear image at a 70-meter distance. And there is another model that is S350. S350 means there is 350-meter range. So in that equipment also, you will get accurate image up to 200 or 250. After that, it will not be that much clear. So for every equipment, there are some range limitations. Okay. And this is not the only company which is producing this laser scanner. There is Faro, there is Leica, and Z&F. There are a lot of companies who are producing this equipment. And leading companies are Faro, Z&F, and Leica and Trimble. These are 4 main companies who are producing this equipment. And they have their own software also. For example, if you are purchasing this Faro equipment, then instead of Recap, you will get another software called Scene, Faro Scene. And if you are going for Trimble, there is another software called RealWorks. So in those software, you can do the same work. Like you can review the scan data, and you can measure the distances, and you can combine you can club the data. So all these processes can be done in those softwares also. Okay, and Recap Pro is a relatively easy to use, but you will not get much options in the Recap, because Recap is produced by Autodesk. And by using this Recap, you can just review the model and you can just measure the distance. If you want to measure the distance, you have an option here. You can go to distance. In the middle of your page, you can see an arrow or annotation tool. Inside this annotation tool, you can select distance. Just select distance. Here you can select the first option. Now select 2 points. So here I am taking 1 second. I am taking these 2 points from here to here. So the distance is almost 4.502, 4.5 meters. It is not accurate, but you will get an like an overall dimension. Okay, and there are other tools also, like surface. You can measure the distance between two surfaces, and you can use this ortho. If you're taking ortho, you can log the measurement side, like in x-axis or y-axis or z-axis. So I'm selecting z-axis because I am going to measure the height. It's almost 800 mm, 862 mm. Okay. Anyway, we are not going to use this one. Our main job is to link this point cloud data into Revit. So when you link this into Revit, you will not see this image. You will see only the point cloud. So I'm going to save this data. Actually, this is a free model. You will get it from Autodesk itself. So I'm going to save this file. We can select the location. 1 second. Okay. So this is our main work. First, you have to select architecture. Suppose if you are going to model architecture model, you have to select architecture template. Sometimes we will use it for structure also, like in UK and in some European countries, for warehouse construction, they will use this point cloud data, because there will be some existing warehouses. They will just modify it. So in that case, they will scan the existing facility or existing storage area, or that warehouse, and they will modify that. First, they will create a 3D model by using this point cloud data. They will create a 3D model and they will link it with Revit or any other BIM softwares, and they will create the exact 3D model. And after that, they will design the new building based on the existing piles, existing frames and all. So here I am going to link our file. So for linking, you can go to insert, go to point cloud. Here you can see .rcp. .rcp is the extension for this point cloud data. Now I'm going to our location, select that point cloud data. Here I am selecting center to center. It depends on your company. Sometimes you will select center to center. Sometimes you will select origin to origin, or by shared coordinates. If they're provided you with some shared coordinates, you can use the shared coordinates. Otherwise, select center to center or origin to origin. It depends on your project and your company. So here I'm selecting origin to origin. Click on open. So this is my 3D point cloud data. I'll go to 3D model now. Here you can see the model. And one more thing, after or during the process of registration, or during the process of combining these individual scan files, they will do one more thing. they will add the survey data from that particular site. So survey data can be added by using the equipment itself. Like inside that equipment, you can give uh, the survey points of that particular locations inside that equipment. So in that case, that data will be clubbed with this 3D BIM model or 3D point cloud data, and you can, when you link this data with your Revit, it will be placed in the exact location. Okay.
One doubt is here.
Tell me.
So when you're telling they will be sharing the site coordinates with the help of machinery, whether it is related to GIS or total station details they will be sharing.
They will give you the total station data.
Okay, so
And
it will not.
they will. One second.
Yeah.
In most of the cases, they will not provide this data to you. They will provide this to the
Survey
person
team.
who is scanning the location.
Okay.
And he will add the data inside, like in this machine itself, inside this machine, there is an option for adding this survey data. So at that time, that point cloud data, which is captured by this equipment, will have this data. So when you load this into the recap software or the RealWorks software, it will automatically place in the exact location. Or in otherwise, there's one more option. After registration also, you can add the data. Like there will be some specific points. Like in some specific locations, we will use an element called checkerboards.
Okay.
I'll show that. Wait, I'll show that board. Actually, this is called a checkerboard, and this is called a checkerboard. You can print this, like they will give you a PDF of this checkerboard. You can print it in an A4 size sheet or A2 size, and you can place it. You can fix it in the walls inside a site. And after scanning, you can see this image inside your 3D 360-degree image. You can click on the middle point. Actually, there is an option. There is a tool for selecting the middle point of the checkerboard, and in the middle point, you will add the coordinates of that particular middle point. Before scanning, the survey team in the site will come to you, and they will scan this particular location's survey data, and they will give you. So you can write it down, or you can take a printout in an by using an Excel sheet. And during registration process, you can add this data. That's another method. Either you should add it inside the machine during the scanning. You can do that. Otherwise, during registration, you can use this method. Both are okay.
Fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
And apart from this checkerboard, there is one more equipment. So this is called a sphere. You can use the sphere also for adding the survey data. You can just click on the sphere by using a tool inside this RealWorks software, and inside that you can add the survey data of this sphere. Okay, and inside the sphere, like actually we are adding that point in the middle of the, like by using the software can identify the middle point of the sphere, and it will add that particular coordinates into the middle point. So for that, first we should know the exact XY coordinates in the middle of this sphere, and after that we can measure this distance. Like with this sphere, they will give the measurement from the bottom of the stance or tripod to the middle of the sphere. That value they will provide along with the catalog, and you can add that catalog with the Z axis of that particular location, and you can add the value, and you can give the value inside the software. Anyway, the survey team will help you to add this value. Okay. And of course, you're not going to site and you're not going to scan. So just leave that topic. Just understand the concept. That's it. you're not going to implement that in the site, because if you want to scan, you should be a trained person. Mainly, the scan thing will be done by the survey team itself. Okay. Now we can go to Revit. We already linked the model. Now in 3D and in sections, you can see the model, but you cannot select it. Like, I mean, you cannot select the individual elements. You can only select the entire model inside the Revit. So first of all, we have to check the levels. So for checking the levels, I'm using this section. Just make a horizontal and vertical section and check the alignment of the model. So first I'm going to the horizontal section. Here I can see the point cloud data. You can see some deviations here.
Can
Actually,
you
it is
make
not
it as
standard.
a white background? It'll be better.
1 second. Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now you can see the levels here, level 1 and level 2. After linking, you can see some deviations. Actually, this kind of deviation is common in point cloud data. This is happening because of the error in registration process or error in taking the point cloud data. Okay, and usually this error will happen in almost all the scan data, so you don't have to worry about it. First of all, you have to check whether it is aligned with the planes or not. So it is almost aligned with the plane, so you don't have to do anything. Just keep as it is. Now, you can start modeling. So for starting the modeling process, you have to go to first level, and like if you have two screens, in one screen you should open the Recap Pro software, and in another screen you can open Revit. Every time when you zoom into one location, you have to zoom the same location in this recap also. Then only you will understand the element, because in Revit it is not that much clear. So first of all, I'm going to a plan view. Here I can see the building. Now I'm going to the same location in Revit also. So this is my plan view, and here these are the two scan locations. One location is here and another location is here. Now we have to identify the elements. That's the first step. Sorry, first step is linking. Second step is identifying the elements. So for identifying the elements, you can go to recap and you can go to a particular location. So I'm taking this scan location first. So in this 360-degree image, like if you click on the sphere, you can go to the 360-degree image. Inside that image, I can see the structural details. First, we can start with structural details or architecture details. It depends on you. So here I am checking the structural details only. Here I can see a column. In the right side also there is a column. So two columns in the right side, and in left side there is one column here and another column here. So there are 4 columns. And we are not considering this room because we don't have much data about that room. We have only a portion of that room, so don't consider that. We are creating a model for the first row, for the main row. Now again come back to Revit. So in Revit you can see the locations. So one location is here. Here you can see a column, and next one is in this corner, and another one is here, and last one is in this location. So first of all, you can measure the dimensions of this column by using this 360-degree image. Maximum it will not be accurate. So if it is possible, you can measure it from here, or otherwise you can depend on the 3D model which we already linked in Revit. And remember one more thing: by using this laser scanner, you can only you will only get the surface data. You cannot penetrate any element by using this scanner. You can only you will only get the surface data. So you can you will get only the surface dimensions of this column. You will not get the dimensions of the other side, or you will not get the exact thickness of this element. If you want the entire dimension, then you have to take a scan outside the building also. Then only you will get the other side. Otherwise, you will not understand the thickness of this walls and all. So here, that's why that information is missing here, because we don't have any scan data from the outside the building. If there is some scan data from outside the building, then we will also understand the thickness of the walls and all. Here we cannot measure that. Now I'm going to view range. It is 2300. Let it be 2000. Okay. Now the view is little more clear. It is coming like this. Okay. Go to recap again, just understand the structure of that element. Here the column is something like this. There is a main column, and a structural element is also there.
Hello, sir.
Hello, tell me.
Yeah, can we use a section box like Revit in the recap?
You cannot use section boxes, but you have an option called planes. One second. Sorry. Actually, it's a free software, so I don't know whether they have the full option or not. 1 second, let me check it.
And one more thing, sir. How to calculate the thickness of walls? Since we cannot.
You have to measure it from the Revit. See, here you cannot see the thickness of the wall, right? Because we have the scan data from only inside the building. If you
Right.
have the scan data from outside the building also, then you will get another line here.
Okay.
Like this. You will get another line in this location also. So from that data, you can measure the thickness of the wall. But in this case, we don't have a scan data from outside the building. So we don't know the thickness. In that case, either you can take data from the client, like they will have some old drawings or something. Otherwise, you can ask your clients to take the measure the data from the site. If you are working from a remote location, or if you are in the site, then you can go to site and you can measure the thickness. These are the only practical options. Otherwise, if the client is with the client's approval, you can give a default value like 200 mm or 230 mm. We can give it to the walls. That's also possible.
Can we measure the dimension in Revit?
We can do the dimension Revit also. Like you can use this measurement tool and you can measure like this.
Okay, but it's
You
not
can
picking
the
exact
points.
point.
No, it won't pick the exact points because these are a group of points. You cannot
Okay.
say this point is accurate or not, because these points are the output of multiple scan data. If it is, if you have only one scan data, then you will get a line exactly in the same location. But with a single scan, we will not get that much data, because in single scan, the number of points which is recorded will be only a few points will be recorded. If you're taking multiple scans, multiple points will be recorded. But in that case, some error will occur. You will get a lot of points. With that lot of points, some the error will accumulate. That's the drawback of this multiple data. Like if you're taking multiple, if you're clubbing multiple scan data, then these kind of error can happen. Because in each scan, there will be small errors. When you club more than 50 scans or 100 scans, the error will accumulate.
Okay.
Okay. So we were discussing about this recap. Okay. So inside recap, we can go to, one second. Okay, I don't have the tools. Actually, if you are purchasing the original software, you will get some extra tools with this. By using that tool, you can you will get some planes. By using that plane, you can cut it.
Sir, I think you have to get out from this 3D 360 view. Uh, then you will get the
I am
view.
in point. Oh, 1 second, 1 second.
You are in a 3D
Okay,
360.
sorry.
Yes, yes.
Okay. That's what I'm checking. Okay. Here you can see, select this section boxes. You can go to this edit option. By using edit option, you can just adjust the height of this planes like this. You can adjust the height, width. You can move it. I thought it's a free version. Okay. So you can use this option and you can measure it. Anyway, if you are measuring it from here or in Revit, the value will be almost same. Okay. Now I'm just resetting this. Okay. Wait, I'm going back to Revit. So here I'm just going to take the measurements of this column. It's almost, it is showing as 306 and 305, but we can take it as 300 because in reality it will be 300 only. And here also I need to take the measurement, the vertical dimensions. It's showing almost, wait, I'm using dimension lines. Shortcut is DLI. I'm selecting align dimension. It's almost 301. So 300 and 301. Okay, I'll take a 300 by 300 column here. So go to architecture. I'm selecting a structural column. Take a simple rectangular column. Okay. Just place this column and we can edit it. Duplicate. Size is 300 by 300, right? So just select 300 by 300. Select OK. We can place it somewhere here. I'm also placing a wall here so that I can align that column with the wall. So first make a sample wall. Let it be 200 mm thick. It is almost aligned with the CAN data. Because you will not get an accurate value, so that's why we are placing like this. Please create similar option. Make one more wall here, in this location, and here. And we can align this. We cannot use the normal align option because we cannot select the point cloud data. That's why. So I'm aligning manually. You can either use this the wall family, or you can use the another option, that is you can use this option also, model in place. You can go to architecture, go to components. Here you can select model in place, and you can use that option also. So almost aligned with this side also. Now I am trimming this. Now we can align this column. Now we can place the same column in this location also. Wait, in this location, I think the dimension is a little bit different. Okay, we will come to that later. Now we have to measure this side. Here I'm using the same dimension lines for measurement. Use tab option for selecting tab button for selecting the surface of the walls. 379. 379. I think it's almost 400. Or we can select 350. We can select 350 because we don't know the exact thickness of that column. 1 second. We will try to measure this from this point cloud data. So this is the main entrance in the left side. So this is the column. Select measure option. Select freehand. It's almost 650. Okay, it's showing as 650. We have to verify that. We can select this surface point. It's showing as 530 here. Okay, actually there are a lot of elements which is near the column. That's why we are not getting an accurate value. Wait, I'll go to the image. We are not select. We didn't select the exact point. That's why. Still, it's showing 620, 638 or something. Anyway, that's not accurate. We can select from Revit itself. $527. Okay, we can select it as 500. And here, vertical dimension 382, 400. Okay, we can select 500 by 400. Just place it here. So 500 by 400. You can duplicate this one. $400. You can align it with that point cloud data. It's almost aligned. I think we can reduce the. I think we can reduce this dimension to 350 because it is not 400. So we can select 350 because the surface is somewhere here. Yeah, we can reduce 50 mm. Go to edit type. Let it be 350. Point cloud modeling is almost like a mass modeling. Okay, so it's almost aligned. We can use this location. So this column and this column is selected. Now our next option is this one. So here we can measure from this line. First I'll make a dimension line. So yeah, it's 400. Then we can select another line here. Maximum try to align it with the points in a particular line. Now we can measure the distance. 465. We can select 450. 450 by 300. Okay. 450 by 300. It's almost aligned. Okay. Now we need to place a column in this location also. So just go to recap and check it again. I'm opening the another scanner, scan data, scan location. Okay, here we go. Actually, in this from the middle of this column to the floor, we didn't get the data because we don't have the scan data from that location because this door blocked that data. We have only the data from the top. So we have to go to the top of that element. So I'm using this section for that. Go to view. Here I can see the thickness of that column. We can just measure it. 368. Wait, I'll use the dimension lines so that it will be clear. 450. Okay, it's almost 357. We can select 350. So the vertical dimension is 350 and now the horizontal dimension. We can measure this distance. 355. Okay, we can select 350 by 350. So go to level 1. I'm editing it. We can use align option for placing it. It's it almost aligned with this. Now go to scan data, use wireframe, go to sections. Here it is almost aligned with the surface because there is a slope or an angle for this scan data. That's why this error is showing there. You can see the deviation here also. Anyway, we are not going to worry about it because it already have an alignment issue in this bottom line or in the floor lines. So don't care about it. We can model this by using this method. We can take this measurement. Now go to the other section. Here also it is almost aligned. So we can keep it like that. Now go to level 1. Now we have to place a door here. Now check the door dimensions. For checking the door dimensions, I am using this section itself. Okay, here I cannot see the dimensions of the frame because of these two doors. So we can flip this section and we can see the building from outside the building. You can, yeah. Now you can see. Wait, 1 second. Section 1. So this is our door. Oh, okay. From outside the building, we don't have a scan data. So you will not get the outside dimensions. Okay, we can use this dimension. Like from the top of the frame, we can identify this dimension. So we can depend on that dimension itself. So go to Revit, use dimension lines. When you zoom in, the points will be like the distance between the points will increase. So just identify a particular point. Should be almost aligned, or it should be like at least it should be an oral dimension. Here, yeah, when I'm zooming in, you can see the difference in colors of these points. Actually, due to the material, ash color of the material, some points are registered in this location also. So see, these points are in the same line with the same material color. So I'm selecting those points. So make a line. Now check the distance. It's almost 1939. So we can select 1950. Wait. 1950, or we can select this side 1922. Okay, we can select 1900 because only a 22 mm difference is there. So we can select 1900. Now the height. So for measuring the height also you need a dimension line in the top of the frame. Two two three eight. Actually, it is almost 2200 because a deviation is here. We can measure that deviation also. Actually, it is an error due to this scanner or scanning process. 35. The 35 mm difference is there. So from 2238 minus 35 is almost 2203. Okay, we can select 2200 mm as height and 1900 mm as width for this particular door. So we can create a door. Actually, the double metallic door is available in the family. Just go to architecture or use the shortcut DR. Now go to load families, libraries, doors. Single panel, double sliding, double glass, hardware, commercial. Okay, we can select one second. I'm looking for steel doors. Single, double flush. Okay, let it be a double flush normal door. If the family is not available, then you have to load the family or you have to make the family. So here we can see the dimensions. I need 2400 by 2000 is available. Okay, we can select this one. Okay, these are my options. Click on OK. Now my width is 1900 and height is 2200. So we can select this one 1800 by 2100. Select that particular door. Place it here. Now I'm changing it. 1900 2200. 1900 2200 2200 mm. Select OK. Okay, the outer okay, we measure the outer dimension. One second. We'll go for 1800 itself, then it will be accurate in that location. And here let it be 2100. It almost aligned. See. Okay. Height we can adjust this height because you can see a difference here. Actually, this difference is already there in the floor. So we can select this dimension itself. Now we can remove the dimensions and other dimension lines which we already made in that location. Go to filter, check none, dimensions lines. Click on OK, delete. Now go to 3D view. Let it be to level 2. Now this is our model. I'm just hiding the point cloud data. You can hide it in visibility graphics. In normal case, the point cloud will not be activated, but if you link a point cloud data, it will be activated. So you can uncheck this one here, click on apply and OK. So you can see the doors and the other information about the structure and architecture part. So you can make you can place a door, or you can modify an existing one, or you can create one. And the columns are also placed. Now we can go for the joist. So for measuring the joist, you have to go to the sections. Okay, in section 1 you can see the joist data. These are the wooden joists which is used to support the top floor of this workshop, or the roof portion of this workshop. You can measure the thickness of joist from any of this joist. So go to dimension lines or DLI. I'm placing these lines in the middle of this points. Now go to distance, measure it. It's almost 35 mm. Anyway, you can go for a wooden joist standard, and you can check this dimension in that data also. Or you can go ask the clients about this dimensions. If they have any typical details, they will share it with you. So from that, you can measure this and you can make a family. So here, either you can make a family, like you can make individual families for this joist, wooden joist, or you can make one by using the component modeling option or model in place option. Just go to model in place, go to actually this is, we can select generic equipment. Please work every 1 second. You should make sure the architectural structure is ticked in this, or it should be selected. Now doors, furniture, lighting system. Okay, we can select mass. No, mass is not a suitable option. Structural framing. Okay, I'm selecting structural framing here. Click on OK. First, you have to define a plane. So go to level 1. We can select a plane. Go to RP. I'm selecting pick line option. I'm selecting this wall. Finish it. Now I'm going to select that plane for making this. So go to component, select framing option. Framing or generic model, anything you can select. Okay. Now set the work plane. Go to pick a plane, click on OK. Select this plane. So you're gonna watch it from north side. Click on open. Here you can see the joist. Move a little bit, otherwise you will not be able to see that. Now it's fine. section 1. Yeah, we have that particular data of the section of joist. So component, sorry, not place a component, go to components, modeling place. Selecting generic models, click on OK. Now set the work plane, pick plane, and picking this plane. Now using section 1.4, see the data. So just zoom into each and every locations. In some location, only one side will be recorded, or one side will be captured. In some locations, both the sides will be captured by using more than one scan data. So here I have that kind of dimensions. So go to DLI, mark the surface. I'm using extrusion option.
Excuse me, sir. Actually, I have one question.
Hello, ask me.
Actually, sir, the joist will be inside the floor, right? So, how the scanner will be penetrate through the floor?
Actually, here it is exposed. In this building, it is exposed. That's why it is able to
Okay.
capture that data.
Okay, sir.
Okay, the roof is like this only. They didn't insulate it, use the insulation to cover it.
Okay,
So
sir.
you will get that information from the scan data. And one more thing I have to tell you. Here we have used two scan locations. One is here and another one is in the opposite direction, that is in this location. But the case is from both the locations, only a few joists are captured, because for these joists, you can I hope you can see my screen. Here these
Yes, sir.
joists only one side will be recorded, because from this scan location and from the existing scan location, only this side of this joist will be recorded. The other side will not be there. That's the drawback of this joist. And in the middle, you can see 5 or 6 joists. Actually, for this 5 to 6 joist, this side of the joist is recorded in this scan data, and the other side is recorded by the existing this scan data. Wait, I'll come out of that. Here, in the middle of both the scanner locations, you can see 5 to 6 joists in between these two spheres. That means those joists, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So for this 5 to 6 joists, both the sides are recorded by using this two scan locations, or by the scanner during the capturing time. But for the joist out of this range, or the joist within the two scan locations is captured, and the other joists are not fully captured. Only one side of that joist are captured by using these two
Yes.
scan from these two scan locations. So that's why for some joists you can see both the sides. Both the sides are scanned, and you can see points on both sides. But for some scan locations, only one side is available. See, in this kind of, in the edges, only one
Yes.
side is available, the other side is not available. And the same scenario is there in the right side also. Here only one side is recorded. So we can assume that they are using same kind of joist in all these locations. So just go through the joist, already scanned joist once again, and take any one of the joist. Now you can make a joist here, and you can copy this to other locations. That's the only possible way. Just go select it. So it is already extruded. Just finish it and go to 3D. So this is our joist. Now I am aligning this. Okay. So one joist is placed here. Now we need to copy that. So for copying also we are going using the same option. Just go to section again. I'm using dimension lines. I'm making a dimension line in between this group of points. Now I am using this line for a reference. So just select it, go to copy option, select this edge. You can copy to this location. Again, repeat it. You can copy this joist to other locations also, and you can give the material as wood. For adding material, you can select it. You can go to edit type. Here you can add some parameter called materials or something, and you can add that value. Or otherwise, you can go to, you can just double click on it and you can edit it. During editing, just click it and add a material here. Go to properties box and here you can add a material. Now, if you are using individual elements like a generic family, then it will be easier for you to change the materials. In modeling phase, you have to do it during the modeling process. And if you want to change it, you have to go inside that because there are no parameters there. If you have a material parameter, then you can change the material parameter. Okay, now I am going back to the 3D view. Here I can see the second joist. Again, going to section 1. I'm using dimension lines. Anyway, the quality of the scan data is fully depend on the method of scanning and the person who scans the data and the survey data, which is occurred from the site team. Okay, like this, you can copy the joist to other locations and you can complete the entire joist elements inside this building. Now we have to go to the floors. So for making a floor, I'm again going to sections. Here the floor data is also missing because we don't have an accurate floor dimension for this, or we will not get the accurate floor thickness from the scan data because only once the top surface of the floor is scanned, the bottom surface is not scanned. That's why we are getting only one surface. So here I am assuming the thickness as 150 mm or 200 mm. Now we can go to the architecture, go to floors. I am not using structural floor here. Okay, let it be generic 150 mm. Select OK. Go to 3D. Now go to sections. Okay, in top surface also there is some deviation because of the error. Anyway, never mind it. Okay. Actually, we have to make the roof also, but for placing the roof floor, we don't have much information. So again, go to section 2, because in section 2, we will get some information maybe. Actually, the joist is almost connected with level 2. We don't know the exact location. In this case, we can select level 2 as the top floor. You can select level 2 as the reference for the top floor. So go to level 2. Go to roof. I'm selecting a simple flat roof. Cold roof concrete. Go to edit type. Cold roof 2. It is difficult. Wait 1 second. Let it be 75. Only for academic purpose I change the dimension. It's not standard. Just go to roofs. I don't need slope for my roof. So just select it. Go to 3D view. Level 2. Go to section 2 and verify that again. Okay, it's almost aligned with the scan data. Some deviations will be there, but it's okay because in the bottom here such deviations are there. We can leave it. So the building is almost completed. I mean, our scope is completed. Okay, only the architecture and structural elements are there in our scope. Sometimes, if you have the MEP elements in your scope, then again you have to link this into the MEP template, like in system template or mechanical or electrical template, and you have to model the electrical and mechanical elements also, like conduits, pipes, and cable trays and ducts. So you can do the follow the same way. Like you can make 2 sections, you can go to the locations, you can measure it, and you can place the elements. So this is the method that we are using for generating the point cloud data or a point cloud model out of the point cloud data. Sometimes if they're asking for asking you to do the registration process or something, in that case they will give you extra training for doing that, because these softwares are not available for us. If you are purchasing the equipment, you will get a software, and the company will train your employees. That's a normal method. We will not get these softwares from the open market, or you will not get the crack versions of the softwares. I mean the Ferrocene or Trimble RealWorks. These softwares are not available outside. Okay, so this is the method.
Hello.
Tell me.
So you're telling there are various software based on the what kind of laser you're using or something.
Yes, yes.
So the workflow remain the same, or typical it will be for all the software.
Almost typical, but there are some like some difference are there. The process is almost same, like linking, adding the registration process, and the data like inserting the survey data. These kind of things are common, but for example, if you're selecting Trimble equipment, then you will get RealWorks software. In RealWorks software, some processes are automated. Like you can select a group of points. Suppose if it is looking like a sphere, then you can make a cylinder out of that points. Sorry, if those points are looking like a sphere, then you can automatically generate a sphere. So, 1 second. For example, if you're scanning a pipe, assume that you're scanning a pipe. So the outside points of that pipes will look like a cylinder. So in RealWorks software, there is an option for creating a cylinder out of the cylindrical out of these points. Like if the points are looking like a cylinder, it will automatically detect it and it will automatically make the cylinder. So instead of pipe, you will get a cylinder or a hollow, like hollow, no, not hollow, a solid cylindrical kind of structure you will get. It will automatically generate it out of those points. So that kind of like some automation and some extra tools you will get from those softwares, along with those softwares. Some very helpful tools are there apart from Recap. Because in Recap, it's almost a free software and you will not get that much tools. But when it comes to the paid softwares like RealWorks or Ferrocene, in those softwares, there are a lot of options. and you will get training from the company itself, not your company, from the Furrow or Trimble.
Yeah.
Their experts will train you.
So almost the workflow remains the same, right?
Workflow is almost the same.
Oh, right. Thanks.
Okay. And in most of the cases, you will not work in the this softwares, because these softwares will be mainly used by the person who is scanning the location or who is using the scanner, because he only know while we are scanning a location, we will have some idea, like by using this location, I'm going to scan this kind of data, or this much data I will capture. So that kind of data will be inside his mind only. So if the person who is scanning the facility, and if he is doing the registration process, it will be accurate. If somebody else is doing, then there will be some variations. The chance of error accumulation is higher in that case. Okay, so do you have any other doubt in linking or in any of this process?
Yes, sir. I have one more doubt. If we get the field notes from the client, like the dimensions and measurements, do we have to scale the point cloud according to that field notes?
No, you don't have to scale it, because when you're adding this survey points and all, it will automatically scale into that dimension.
Okay, sir.
In some cases, that I don't know, because in almost all my projects, it will be scaled as it is.
Yes, sir. Some I faced that problem because some length and the breadth is not matching properly, so I have to scale it and match with the like dimensions.
Maybe it's because of some errors. I
Yeah,
don't,
yes.
because in normal case, you don't have to scale it.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, and one more thing, like before attending that particular interview, you have to go through the model in place option again and again, because in most of the cases, they will use this model in place and mass modeling, this topic. You have to go through this massing and site also, because they will sometimes they'll use this massing and site for creating this kind of 3D objects from the scan data. Because the model that you are creating out of the scan data will be in between 300 and 350. Sometimes it will be 200, depends on your quality of the scan data. So in that case, you will use these tools. Mostly you will use this massing and site or the normal modeling.
Generally to create the building pads, or how it is?
For
Hello.
creating the elements. Like if you're going to scan a temple or a mosque, I mean the heritage buildings. So in that case, sometimes you will use the mass modeling. You will not use the conventional elements.
Yeah.
But for our buildings, this method is enough. Normal boxy type buildings or like apartments, commercial buildings, this method is enough. But if you're going for architecture buildings, then you have to go to the mass modeling, massing and site, this kind of course. So any other doubts?
Sir, how much it will give accuracy about the dimensions like scanning? We are
Anyway, there will be there will be variation of 10 mm to 15 mm. In some cases, 20-25 mm will happen.
okay. Okay, sir.
Because in the survey data itself, there will be a difference of 5 to 10 mm. So anyway, that error will come inside this scan data. If you want to know more about this accuracy, then you have to refer DGPS, working of DGPS, and the error that can happen in DGPS, then you should refer the total station survey methods also. Then you will understand the errors that can happen and that can accumulate in the scan data. Because anyway, they are going to take the main points or the base points from DGPS data only. So in DGPS, there will be a lot of error, because in when you're taking a value from DGPS, it is like every time it is connected with almost 20 satellites, and there will be two components, one station and one rover. So to get an accurate value, you have to move the rover 22 many times. You will move the rover. So in all those movements, some error will happen, and this error will be added inside this total station data. And from the total station survey itself, some more error will happen, like added into this existing error. Finally, it will be accumulated and it will give you a variation of maybe 10 to 15 mm variation will be there in almost all the cases. So anything else?
Just we can get some practice files or something related to point cloud.
Just download 1 second, because my files are almost 28 GB and 32 GB. Like the size of point cloud data will be in that range. At least it will be half GB. So I prefer you to use this file itself. Like you can go to Autodesk Recap. If you have a student ID or crack version, you can go to Recap, and inside this Recap itself, this file will be there. In the first page itself, you can see this file and you can open it.
Sure.
If you're not getting, just send me a message in WhatsApp. I'll give you this file. I'll upload this in vTransfer and I'll give you a link. Or if you want, I can give you a link right now. 1 second.
No, this software is already downloaded.
Then just open the software. You can see
I'm
the
working.
file.
I'm working, but any extra files you are having to practice?
I have extra file, but it is almost the size is very bigger. That's why.
Okay. So anywhere we can download some files.
I don't think so, because in most of the cases, the file size will be around half GB or 750 MB will be there. I mean, one scan location. Actually, from this data, they almost removed some errors, like some noise and waste. They have cleared these unwanted elements. That's why the file size is almost very light. Anyway, I'll check it, but I'm not sure about it, because almost the file size is very big. You cannot handle that kind of files.
Okay, you can share the link if you have that.
Yeah, I'll check it. I'll check for some small files. If I am getting, I'll share it.
Yeah.
So are you guys from same WhatsApp group or something? Where should I share it?
The TSA, major are connected to that group only. You can share.
Okay, anyway, I'll send that to Rohit. He will give you.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys, if you have any doubt, just text me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.